Christmas is coming, the snowflakes will be falling. It's the most wonderful time of year. So hang up your stockings, put the tinsel on the tree, because Christmas is coming, my dear. It's the only time of year the reindeer fly. You can't see them on their sleigh ride across the sky. Gather all your family round, or go out and paint the town. It's the only time of year the whole wide world turns upside down. So baby, light a fire and we'll toast the night away, because Christmas is coming our way. Reindeer fly. You can't see them on their sleigh ride across the sky. Gather all your friends around, or go out and paint the town. It's the only time of year the whole wide world turns upside down. So baby, light a fire and we'll toast the night away, because Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming our way.
Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 11 of the holiday card series for 2025. This is the last live for the holiday card series this year. There'll be one more day, day 12 on Christmas Eve, so come back for that. Tonight we're going to be playing with some products from Hero Arts. They kind of came out with like some elf inspired products this last fall. And when I saw them, I think Jennifer McGuire showed them to me. She may have actually used them in one of her lives. I was like, I need to use those. I need to make an elf inspired card, because Elf, I think it's one of my most favorite holiday movies. I also really love White Christmas, but Elf is probably maybe like a close second. And I think I watch Elf more than White Christmas. So in the chat or in the comments, let me know, do you like the movie Elf? Have you seen Elf? There are some out there who have never seen it. I wish I could see it for the first time again. It's just so fun. But it's also one of those movies where you can watch over and over and over again. Okay, so here we go. Let's jump into it. And I'm going to take this sweater off, but I'm going to move my mic this time. I'm taking this sweater off because it is so warm in here. I have a fan going, but I also know that I will be freezing later if I don't leave the thermostat where it's at. Hold on, I'm going to be with this mic. Got to take off my sweater. Karen says she's never seen the movie Elf. Oh dear. Okay. So I totally wore that sweater all day long, and I was not warm at all, but the minute I'm supposed to go live, suddenly it's too hot in the sweater. But I had to wear it. right? I had to wear it. It's my last live where I can wear a holiday sweater. Some of my sweaters are not Christmas. They're just kind of like wintry. So those might have to be broken out later. But Kimberly says, not my favorite. I'm a little old school. You know, some people, they don't appreciate it as much, and that's totally fine. I love it so much. And I think I heard somewhere that most of the lines from Will Ferrell are ad-libbed. It's so fun. Okay, so this is these are some of the products from the kind of elf-inspired products that Hero Arts came out with. This stamp set is called Elf Culture, and there's matching dies for it right there. And then this one is called Sassy Elf Costume. And we're only using these 3 little dies today just to make the smaller little hat. Okay, so I've planned out what I'm doing for today's card, and I'm going to be using a distress blended background, and I'm going to do some white heat embossing on top. So because of that, we're going to do that first because we want to give it a chance to dry on its own. So let me tape this down to my surface here, and then we'll do some ink blending. All right. Super Deer Tracker, that's a fun name, says seen bits and pieces but never sat down to watch it. It's a good one. I highly recommend if you find yourself watching a movie while you're wrapping presents Christmas Eve or, you know, the next couple of days, put on Elf. It's just a good one. It's a good background. I mean, you don't have to pay attention too much if you don't want to. It's a good one. All right, so I'm using Distress inks, like I said, and I might even not do a full ink blend. I might just take it right to the paper. I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet. Okay, I'm gonna start with peacock feathers. And I'm gonna blend it. I kind of want to have the peacock feathers about right here and have it blend out to Chipped Sapphire and then Black Soot. So I want it to be really intense right there in the middle. Let me zoom in. We're a little zoomed out today. Let's zoom in. So I'm going to blend out past where I want that Chipped Sapphire to come in because I want to give it plenty of opportunity to overlap and blend really well. So I'm going to give a nice big spotlight of peacock feathers. Oh, I didn't realize that the products I'm using are on clearance already. That's awesome. Yes, it'll be so good for next year. All right. Blend that out. Okay, so I've got quite a bit of color on there. I'm going to switch over to Chipped Sapphire. And then I'll bring in the Black Soot just a little bit here at the end, just to darken up the edges. Hi, Dana. Hi, Sika. All right, so we've got our Chipped Sapphire. I'm going to bring that in. Oh, my word. Do you guys see that? I think that's where my lotion-covered fingers were touching the paper. That's hilarious. Well, I plan to cut this down a little bit, so I'm not too concerned. And maybe the Black Soot will cover up some of that. But that's hilarious. I've had it happen a couple of times, and I didn't know exactly what caused that. Yeah, that's exactly where I was just touching it. I was touching the corners like this. That's funny. My favorite is Home Alone. Elf, okay, but not as funny as Home Alone. You know what? It's just, you got to be in the right mood for Elf. I think it's so funny. There's so many good one-liners. In fact, one of my favorite one-liners is in the stamp set, and that's what we're going to be using for the grading today. Okay. Yes. Dorothy says, those Pink Fresh blending brushes are awesome. One of my faves. Me too. Okay. Just coming around. intensifying that color. Need to bring the blue in a little bit more right here. There we go. Kind of want like this kind of glowing spotlight. That's where I'm going to put the grading. In fact, let's make sure it's large enough for the grading. It's going to be this one right here. It's just nice knowing we share an affinity for elf culture. It cracks me up. We're just going to put it right there. That looks like that'll be perfect. All right, and just to intensify it a little bit, actually, I'm going to bring a little more blue right there. Okay, I'm going to intensify it by bringing in some black soot. I'm going to grab my black blending brush. And I don't need a ton of this. In fact, like I said, I am going to be cutting it down. So I might not even get much of this black in what I cut. We'll find out, I guess. I like how the black soot just sort of continues the fade to darkness out at the edges. So even if it doesn't show too much, it will show a little bit. It is a raccoon stamp on the stamp set. There's a scene, I think Buddy's, is he walking through the park and he sees a raccoon and he's like, "Do you want a hug?" And then the raccoon attacks him. Cracks me up. Does he say, "Do you want a hug?" or what does it say? Does somebody need a hug? That's what it is, because it's in the stamp set. That's so funny. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and let it dry as much as possible. Kind of anticipate I will have to use my heat tool to speed dry it, but I wanted to do this first, get it out of the way, because then when we do everything else on the card, that'll just be giving it time to dry. All right, so the next thing that we are doing, we're going to create a little peppermint stripe background that's really only going to show on the like very outer edge of the card. I'm going to turn my video off there for a minute because I need to grab some adhesive sheets. It'll just make making this background so much easier if I use an adhesive sheet. Okay, so these are Altenew adhesive sheets. I think I'm going to cut it to just a little bit larger than an A2 card front. So maybe like, I don't know, maybe make it a half inch larger. So I'm going to cut it to 4 3/4 by 6. And then I'll just put it on some A7 cardstock just because that's larger. It'll be easier to do that. And then we're going to put on some little strips of cardstock. If I can get this to release, come on. Hello? There we go. All right, we'll just put this down like that, and then it will just adhere straight down onto it. Okay, I'm back. Put our inks away. I don't think we're going to need the blending brushes again, so I'll put those away as well. All right, I've done some prepping. We have silver and red glitter cardstock strips, and I'm going to put them on this just like in a little diagonal peppermint pattern. I'm hoping this will look okay with the background I've got going. It's going to be a pretty colorful card. All right. So now I've got that adhesive, and I guess I could just start right from the center. And then I'm just going to do a red strip followed by a silver strip. I thought about doing white glitter strips, but I am going to be coloring the images from the stamp set. And they're going to be stamped on some white cardstock, and I didn't want the white glitter to not match the white cardstock. So that's the reason why I didn't do that. All right, I'm gonna grab my Essentials dies. I'm just gonna grab the A2 card front because I just have to make sure, you know, I cover as much of this as I can. Okay. Oh. And I can see where the adhesive strip is, like where it ends, or the full adhesive ends. I can use those little bits on the other corner. I could even use that red one right here. Okay, perfect. Turn that around, and I can come down here and just continue making the little strips. I love doing little peppermint strips like this, or stripes, but with strips of cardstock. I think it's so fun. Yes, I am going to be covering up most of this, but I'm thinking I might cut out the center that's going to be covered up, and then I won't feel so bad because I can save it for another card. Because really, I'm just going to have the edge showing. Okay. Oh, that one really doesn't want to adhere in the right spot, does it? Come on. There we go. Until you really press it down, you do have a little bit of time. I'll just cut off that little piece to do the red right here. Perfect. All right, so I've got this super glittery peppermint stripe going. And now let's die cut it. I'll just use my A2 die from my Essentials dies. And I'm kind of thinking if I do want to keep the center, I could take my A2 thin frame size, which I'm going to use later anyway. I'll use the, like, I'm going to have the outer, this like middle size, which is actually from the More Thin Frames die set. That's the one I'm going to be using. So I'll take this smaller one and I'm just going to have it cut out the center, and then I can save this and use it on a different card. Okay. Because like I said, we technically don't need the full, you know what, sometimes you get a better cut if you put it at a diagonal when you put it through your die cutting machine. So I'm going to do that since it is cutting through a few layers of cardstock. All right, let's hope that cut through everything. Looks like it pretty much did, or almost. It was cutting through a lot, y'all. Okay, looks like I'll have to just hit this with my X-Acto knife or my scissors. Scissors would probably do it, now that I think about it, because it is just a straight line. And it's like super easy to cut because the grooves are already there. It's just this top edge that didn't cut. There we go. Then it looks like this interior, did it not cut all the way either? I guess I could try running it through my die cutting machine again, but I don't want to go through the trouble to do that. Let's put this aside here for a moment. I don't like to cut into my glass mat, so I just have this little travel mat from Altenew. And it's super easy just to cut right along the die cut line that's already started. Oh, I'm cutting the wrong one. Should be cutting the outer edge. Okay, there we go. All of this just to salvage the peppermint stripe background. You know, this will give me a fun, thin frame to use though. Okay, lovely. So I'm eventually going to have this like on it about like that. Okay. And I can just save this little piece for another project. I'll fur out the outer piece because I don't need that. Okay, let's work on all of the images that are going to go on the actual card itself. Okay, so let's see here. I'm trying to think. We're going to stamp them. So using my MISTI, I'm going to grab a sheet of 5x7 and then back to the stamp set. Definitely need the Etch-a-Sketch, and we need the book and maple syrup. So random. If you've never seen the movie, you're like, what? Maple syrup? What is that supposed to mean? Okay, I don't think I'm going to do the raccoon or the little Santa hat. I think I'll just do this because I have a couple other die cuts we're using. And I think with the way these are arranged, I could possibly stamp them twice without having to move the stamps in my MISTI. For a black ink, I'm using Simus Stamp Intense Black. And I'll probably have to stamp it a couple of times because I think this ink pad might need to be re-inked. We'll see. Yes, maple syrup for the spaghetti. Yeah, I didn't get that inked up very well. Really doesn't want to stamp right there. I don't know what the deal is. There we go. That's better. I want to get the Etch-a-Sketch a little bit better. Lovely. And then I'm just going to rotate. And I think, oh yeah, we're far enough away that we can stamp again. Amy, Christina is hard on your budget. I went down the rabbit hole over the greenery stuff she used. I know, right? I don't blame me. You can blame the greenery. All right, getting this inked up really well. Today's card is one of those cards that I would not do duplicates of. Too many different elements. Too many. Okay. Just cleaning up these stamps a little bit. Then I think I'm going to need to hit the paper with a heat tool, with a little heat, just to make sure everything dries, because I did have to stamp it multiple times. And I'm just afraid that because of that fact, the ink will be a little bit juicy on the cardstock, and then it will smear when I go to use my alcohol markers. Candy canes. Do we have all 4 food groups here? We do. We have candy canes, candy corn, syrup, and candy. So it's candy, candy canes, candy corn, and syrup. Those are the 4 main food groups for elves. Is that what it is? It's food groups? The 4 main food groups. Yep, that's the one. Cracks me up. Okay, let's hit this with the heat tool so we can start coloring right away. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my Copic markers, and we'll start some coloring. I'm thinking, since the Etch-a-Sketch will be red, let's maybe have this book here be green. Actually, there are a couple more items that we need to be coloring that I die cut in advance. Well, for one thing, I die cut some snowflakes. I probably will only use one of these, but it's from my Snow Flurries die set that was in last year's holiday class at Online Card Classes. I thought a snowflake would look nice. It made me think of all the paper snowflakes that Buddy creates when he stays at Gimbel's overnight. And then I have the pieces to create Buddy's hat. So I just cut them out of white, and I thought I would use my Copic markers to color them. So I'm going to take a little bit of adhesive, and I'll just, hello. I'll just do a couple little rows, and I'm gonna take off some of that stick because I don't want it to be super sticky. This is when I wish my repositionable adhesive that I ordered had arrived. Actually, you know what? It did arrive. It arrived today, but I haven't unboxed it. Okay, so we've got both hats, and then the little band, and then the red feathers that we'll put together. So let's just go ahead and color those first. Looking for a nice green. I think I'm going to do YG01 followed by YG03 And then YG17, I think, for the greens. Let's zoom in a little bit here. I feel like I'm missing stuff in the chat. What's going on? I'm scrolling up. Scrolling up. I feel like I need to like go back and like figure out what's in the chat. You guys always have good conversations. Something is up with Carrie. What's happening with Carrie? Something about a spinal fusion? What? All right, I'm gonna have to go back and look at the chat later. Okay, starting with the lightest kind of green, and I'll just come in from the side. Okay. Then I'm going to take the next green. That looks like fluorescent on camera. That's crazy. I mean, it is pretty bright, but all right. And then I'll come in from the other side. And then the darkest green. And then I'll come back with the middle green and we'll blend it a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to need both hats, but I cut two just in case. Okay, I feel like I need to put a little bit of the dark green further down and further over. There we go. That's a pretty good little blend there. All right, so then there's a golden little band on his hat. It's kind of like a dusty golden color. So let's do YG15 and YG26, or I think it's just Y26. Yeah, Y26, that'll be good. This will be super easy to color because I'm just going to do the full golden color and then I'll add the shading off to one side. About like that. And then we just need a nice pop of red for the feather. I think R08 would be perfect. Make sure that's really stuck down and then I can just come in here and color that. Perfect. We'll wait to assemble those until I've got all the other stuff. Okay, so going back to red, we're going to go with my favorite red combination, which is R35. Let's do, and then do R39. And we'll darken it up with E19 for our lovely Etch-a-Sketch. All right. I'm going to start with the darkest color, or the darkest red. I'm going to come in here and just kind of get it around the edge. Go back to the bright red. I'm going to slow down and try to be careful around the edges. I might not even need to use the E19 because we're going to do like a really simple coloring on this. Just in case we need the other one, I'm going to color this one as well. Or if one turns out better than the other, then we can just use that one. Okay, taking the darker red now. Okay, yeah, I don't think I even need to use the brown. I think that's fine. I'll leave these red shades out though because we have some other opportunities to have red. For the screen on the Etch-a-Sketch, I think like a warm gray with a little bit of a darker warm gray would be perfect. So I've got warm gray 2 and warm gray 4. I'm just going to color this all in, and then I'll add just a little bit of a shadow just around the inner edge to make it look like there's a little bit of dimension on it. All right, same for this little guy down here. Then we'll come back and just put a little bit of shading on the knobs of the Etch-a-Sketch. I love how they call it a sketch a lot. Bringing in that darker shade. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to bring in like a more cool white. Just a C2, and we'll just do a little, there we go. Lovely. All right, so there's our cute little Etch-a-Sketch. Let's do the book now, and I think I want the book to be more like an evergreen, like a darker green, not the green of his hat. So maybe like, let's start with G. I feel like you guys are just going to be looking at the side of my head. I should just turn that off. We'll do like G43 followed by, gosh, G07. Maybe. And then we need a dark green. G29, that's pretty dark, but maybe I'll go for it. Okay. We've got 2 opportunities to get this color just right, so it's all good. Okay. Let's start with the darkest shade, which I think I'll just have be on the spine of the book. I don't want it to be very dark on the front, maybe just the edges, because I do want the black ink to show. So using the lightest green, that I picked out, and I'm just going to go over the entire front of the book. I'm also going to get just the inside right there. All right, and then I'm going to come in and just add the little bit more intense green. Maybe I'll just have that be like right around here at the bottom. Maybe I'll have it kind of flick up into the lighter green, and then I'm going to go back to the lighter green. See if I can get those colors to blend just a little bit. It's not too bad. It's not the smoothest coloring, but I think it's going to look great. I'll come back for the pages here in a minute. We'll just use that warm gray again. We'll just go with whatever book looks the nicest when it comes to blending. All right, taking that dark green down the spine. Okay. Then I'll just take the lighter of the warm grays that I used, and we'll just get a little bit of color on the pages. Perfect. All right, let's do some syrup. I'm not going to go crazy on the bottle here. I'm just picking two browns. In fact, I kind of think I want a lighter brown too. So I'm going to start with the lighter brown. Go around the outer edge. And then I'll take the darker one. Okay. Keeping this really simple. I don't think I even need to use the darkest brown that I picked out because there's really not much shown on this bottle. Okay. I like how the shading looks on that one better. So maybe I'll only color that one. I'm totally mixing up my lids. Oh no, I'm good. I'm just like waiting to mix up all these lids. I was at a crafting retreat once, and my friend Kathy Rakusen went through all my Copics and she mixed up the lids on purpose. I was like, Kathy, she's quite the prankster. Okay, take that same warm gray. I'll just add a little bit of shading to this label. Looks good to me. And now we just have to do all of our candies. So I'm gonna just do the red on the candy canes. You know what? I probably should have done I'm glad I have 2 candy canes to choose from because I'm going to swap it and have the larger areas be the red. Because the smaller little areas you can barely see. I think it'll really emphasize the red a little bit better. Okay. Yes, that is very Kathy. I'm going to take my warm 4, like the warm gray 4, and I'm just going to add it to 1/2 of the candy cane, like down the side. And that'll give it just a little bit of shading. I don't know if that's really going to show up much, but we're trying here. Okay, and then as far as these candies go, I think I want the little swirl to maybe be pink. So I'm just grabbing a little peach color, and I think I'm going to do a little thing where, I don't know, maybe I should just color all of it. I think I will just color all of it. It's a whole lot easier just to do that. And then as far as making it a little bit shaded on one side, oh, that's that color. Okay. And then we need like super light, bright gumdrops. There's always a green one. I'm using those same greens that I used before. And then maybe like a red. A little bit of shading right there. And then, ooh, that like bright kind of aqua blue color for, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like that light blue. Okay, that was BG15. I need a lighter version of that. BG11. And then what do we want to do for this little wrapped candy? Maybe like an orange. I'm just like picking out different colors. I have no idea if it's going to work or not. Kind of looks like a butterscotch candy. I'll take it. Butterscotch candy. Lovely. All right. Now we have to figure out candy corn. I never remember what order to put the candy corn in. So I am totally looking up candy corn. All right, here we go. Candy corn. White tip, orange middle, and then the yellow is on the tip there. Okay. So we'll just do, and then we'll do orange. Okay. And then to keep it simple, I'll use that same W2, and I'm just going to add just a little bit of shading just down one side on each of these. There we go. All right, I think I've colored everything at least once, some of them twice. I think I kind of want to do the candy corn one more time. I don't remember what yellow I used. I think it was this one. Oh, that's orange. That's not yellow. What yellow did I use? It was this one. I think I might want to have an extra candy corn ready to go, just in case I need it. So I'll die cut it twice. But I think everything else is good. All right, let me put these markers out of the way. I will have to put them back into their storage when we're done here, because we need to move on. We're closing in on an hour, but we're almost to where we just get to start assembling, so that's kind of fun. Okay, let's die cut all these fun little guys. All right, where did my die cuts go? Here they are. All right, so we need that one. Let's actually get it on my, there we go. And the Etch-a-Sketch, candies, maple syrup, candy canes, and candy corn. Okay. So we just take some time, get these all lined up. Amazingly, they lined up pretty easily. Okay. Oh, maybe I should put them all in my little Christmas tree little dish so I don't lose any, because that would be just like me to lose them right here at the end. Okay, we're cutting out the candy corn and the Etch-a-Sketch and the book one more time, just in case we need them. I don't know if we will or not. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right. One more thing that I need to cut out before we move on. I need to do a little gold edge using my thin frame size. This is actually from the More Thin Frames, like the middle size in between these two is from the More Thin Frames. And I have my gold cardstock sitting around here somewhere. I'm not sure where it walked off. I had it like set aside. Wait, found it. Okay. We'll just die cut this really quick. And I'm swapping to a cleaner cutting plate versus this one that's all messy, because so much of the interior on the gold cardstock won't be used, and I can save it for something else. Okay. All right, there's our little gold frame. I can save this interior gold piece for another card. And then I'm going to take the same frame and I'm going to be cutting it out of this one, but maybe I want to do my greeting on there first. That might be a good idea. We'll wait, we won't die cut that quite yet. Okay. I already know this is not going to be dry, so I'm going to hit it with my heat tool. Okay, let's do a little test run before we do any stamping, just to make sure that we are good to move on. Moving all these dies out of the way. All right, I'm going to do my anti-static powder tool right over the area where I'll be stamping eventually. And then let's do a test run with the powder. We want to make sure that the powder slides right off before we do our heat embossing. Oh, I forgot to turn my fan off. Okay, just turned the fan off. All right, I think that's sliding off pretty well. Just in case, I can go like this with a clean paintbrush and just get off any powder, but that looks pretty good. And I didn't get too much powder all over my work surface. I'm getting it all over my hands, however. All right, I'm gonna set this aside for just a minute while we do our stamping. Okay. All right, here's our background, which does not want to stick to the inside of my Misty. You know what I need to do? I need to clean the grip mat that's inside my Misty. Hold on 1 minute. I've been meaning to do this probably for about 2 weeks, and I just haven't done it. So I'm just going to do it right now. So I'm almost out, but it's Simus Stamp Ultra Clean Stamp Cleaner. The grip mats are the same. It's almost out, so I've got to tip it up. It's the same material as your stamps. So you can clean it with a stamp cleaner. And my big grip mat from Altenew like hardly had any stick left because I'd used it so much. And I cleaned it yesterday using the stamp cleaner. And I could not believe how sticky it was. Like the next time I used it, it tore my paper. It was so sticky. Okay. Now that can be pretty oily and greasy. So I wipe it down again with a baby wipe. Yes, don't use hand lotion right before. That is true. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for this to dry a little bit. Putting my hands all over it, that kind of helps it dry. I think it does anyway. We just don't want it to be wet when we put our cardstock down. Okay, it's almost dry. Especially because if there's any moisture, it will be absorbed into the paper and come to the surface and then disturb the distress ink. I have had that happen in the past. Oh, sticking so much better now. We love that for us. Okay, so now I'm going to our cute greeting. And it's going to go right here. It's just nice knowing we share an affinity for elf culture. I think it's so cute. Okay, I'm trying to get this straight. That looks pretty straight. Actually, I'm paranoid. I'm going to use this little grid transparency thing. And it helps you get things on there straight. There we go. If I can pick this up without chipping a nail, here we go. All right, so I'm going to prep it with an anti-static powder tool once again. And then we are stamping in white pigment ink. You could probably do this in gold as well, but I think I'm going to do it in white. Like do the embossing in white, just because I think it'll be really, really bright on this background. Okay. Clean up my stamp here. All right. Then we'll do our heat embossing. And the fan is no longer on, so the embossing powder won't go flying everywhere, or at least it shouldn't. Perfect. I'll hit this with my heat tool. So cute. I love that. All right, I'm gonna let this cool, and then I'm gonna use my microfiber cloth to take away any of that excess anti-static powder that's kind of sticking around. Okay, now we're gonna cut our background. Using the frame die, and I think most of those little fingerprint marks are going to get chopped off. Okay. Oh, put it at a diagonal. I always forget. It just cuts better at a diagonal. Okay. Okay, so now we have that interior piece. And my dies can go back. I think we're done with all the die cutting today. Yay! I'm gonna grab a card front. So this is a top folding card front, just randomly, that's the one I got. We're first going to put our little frame, our little peppermint frame on there. This is going to be, you know, the outer edge of the card. Okay. Just starting on one corner, going to the next. Okay. That's kind of a fun frame just by itself. Okay, then we're going to be adhering this over the top, and then we'll put the gold frame on it. So it does have this like interior spot that's like kind of, like I feel like it needs to have paper in there, but maybe not. I think it'll be okay. But I don't want to put liquid glue on this either. I didn't even think about that. I did not think about that part. Well, we might put this back in just because I don't want it to be like have like a shallow area or something. I love how that doesn't even line up. I put it in wrong. There we go. I think I'm going to do it. I don't want to have to cut more scratch paper, so I'm just going to glue this back in. I think it'll be fine. And let's face it, am I doing any more holiday crafting after the holiday card series? Probably not. Not till next year. So I'm just gonna stick that inside. Lovely. Okay, and then we're gonna put this right on top. And I'm hoping that even with the glitter surface, that this adhesive will hold. I think we'll be okay. Okay. Then I'm going to take my honeybee glue. Yes, I think if I wasn't live and so I had more time, I would just put in some white cardstock. But we're live here. I'm very conscious of the time that y'all are spending with me tonight. Got a little glue there, lovely. We'll put our gold frame. Okay. It's not wanting to stick. Stick, please. The glue is just needs a minute to get tacky. Okay. Now we have all of our lovely little die cuts. That really doesn't want to stick down, does it? I don't think the tape runner is going to hold. You guys can't see it, but it's like just starting to pull up. Do you see that? Right there, it's starting to pull up. But I don't want to use liquid glue. Didn't even think about that. Okay, well, that's okay. All right. So we can do a little of this. And I can maybe have a snowflake up here. Maybe even another snowflake down here. Maybe I'll have another snowflake right there. It'll be behind the book. It can be kind of peeking out like that. Or maybe I'll only have one. Do I need another candy corn? I think the candy corn's hilarious. Okay, so it would be like that. But I put some foam adhesive behind each one. I think that'll be so fun. So I really did not need an extra book or an extra Etch-a-Sketch. Worked out well though. All right, so now we just have to go through and adhere everything. Oh, my little trash bucket moved. Come back, little trash bucket. And I don't think I need to even put everything on foam adhesive. I think I could do the book and the Etch-a-Sketch, and then glue the rest of them down just flat I think that would be fine too. For how much Jennifer Maguire loves the movie Elf, I almost feel like this card needs to go to her. She adores that movie. I think I'll just glue the candy corn down, but I do want to have the maple syrup on some foam adhesive. Hi, Nicole. My nail polish color is listed down in the video description. This one happens to be Holly Berry with sugar dipped on top. That's a color that I was like, Kathy, you need to do this, and then Kathy did it. Oh my word, I forgot to include this guy. It needs a hat. Are we not going to do the snowflake? We might not do the snowflake. Because it needs to have the hat on there, right? Were you guys in the chat telling me, where's the hat? Where's the hat? I guess I could, I don't know, where would I put it? It also kind of needs a white frame to it because of all the die cuts, right? Huh. Can I peel up the syrup? I feel like it needs to go where the syrup is. Or I guess I could put it down here at the bottom, but it's right next to the other green. Oh, we are so lucky. So lucky. Look at this. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, before I do anything else, I'm going to create the little hat. All right, where are my tweezers? There we are. All right. And then we have our little feather. So the feather is just going to tuck into the hat. I could put it on the snowflake. That's not a bad idea. Little dabs of glue. All right, and then I just got to hold this down until it adheres, because it doesn't want to. The inside of the card, that's not a bad idea. Okay. Oh, that's pretty cute. Okay, if I put it like on top of the snowflake. Oh, I think that obscures the snowflake a little too much. But I do feel like it needs a white little outer frame just because everything else has a little white thing, right? So I'm going to glue it to this cardstock and then just fussy cut around it. And then it will give us a nice little outer shape. And it will kind of, it won't stick out like a sore thumb. Okay. Ta-da. Or you know what makes it stick out like a sore thumb? It doesn't have black lines. Whatever. I think it'll help it stand out on the card itself. put it on top of the Etch-a-Sketch. That could work. Kind of have it overlap. Then I'll have a snowflake right there. We'll do the candy cane. Oh, and then we need the syrup. The syrup was going to go right there, huh? Hold on, let's see how this looks. If I put the hat right there, I can put the syrup down here. Candy canes can go right there, and then the candy corns can go up here off the edge. I think that could still work, although those candy canes look like they're in a bad spot. That works. I'll put the snowflake right there. On top of the Etch-a-Sketch centered. No, then it would kind of look like the Etch-a-Sketch is wearing the hat. I don't know how I feel about that. I think that could work. Other than I feel like that needs to be a little further away. But I could put the candy canes down a little bit like that. I think that'll work just like that. Yeah. Okay. Press that down. Now we just have to glue all this down. Some of you were saying candy corn on the right side. I was thinking that too. I'm going to look at it again. I'm not sold on it yet. I feel like I need to put a paperweight on that right there. All right, you're saying like right there? I do like that right there, but I feel like something's missing up here. I guess, well, I was going to say I could cut another snowflake, but I could still do the candy cane right there. No. So we're saying you liked the snowflake on the right? I kind of like that too. Yeah, let's do that. And then I'll cut it off the edge. I like that. I just have to make sure I get enough glue on everything to make sure I can cut it off and it's not going to be an issue. So I kind of have to cover the entire snowflake with glue. We'll let that dry. We'll glue these other ones on. Stay, please. Candy canes. Doesn't want to stick. Come on. Okay. This just goes to show that there are a plethora of arrangements you can use with all the little images. All right, is that glued on there enough now that I can cut it off? I think it is. There we go. Talk about cute. I love it so much. That turned out even cuter than I thought, and was only an hour and 20 minutes. Granted, I did pre-cut all those little strips that made the peppermint background, but not bad. Not bad at all. So here is the finished card. I'm going to do a quick spiel for those who watch the edited replay tomorrow, and then I'll stick around. Maybe we'll talk a little bit after. So hold on. I'm just going to do a little ending for the edited replay. So here is the finished card today. Kind of a lot of elements going into one card, but it came together really quickly. I think there were a few things that made that possible. The coordinating dyes. I think also using Copic markers or an alcohol marker made the coloring really fast. And then already having those glitter strips cut, that made it go really fast too. So that is the finished card for today, for day 11 of the holiday card series. So I hope you'll come back on Wednesday on Christmas Eve for day 12. I have yet to actually film that card, but I have plans. The last day of the holiday card series is always special, so come back and check that out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Okay, let's chat. Let's see, I'm scrolling up. If you had a question and I missed it, please repeat in the comments. Yes, Andrew, technically I wanted to stick to my fingers. That is true. That is very true. Let's see. Someone said move the candy from the bottom right up to the center left and add a snowflake to the bottom. Oh, I think that's what I did. Gina says, I did my nails in Dazzle Dry Emerald, but now you're making me want to redo in red. There's an emerald? Are you talking about evergreen maybe? Evergreen or mistletoe? Yeah, mine were actually like a pale frosty blue, and it did not look good on my skin tone. I had it on for 3 days and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I had to repaint my nails today. So for Christmas, this will be the nails. But you know what though? I think I've done this same color combo 4 or 5 times since the fall because I just love this red. It looks so good. It's so bright. I love it. Okay. Scrolling down. Yes, Jennifer would love this card. All right. I sound so much like Jennifer Wire. Well, we are best friends. So, you know how you start to have the same vocabulary and you talk the same as the people that you hang out with? I think that's probably what's happened. Andrea says, when you mentioned about Kathy switching your Copic marker caps, did you figure that out before you started coloring? Yes, because I left the room just enough and I came back and I was like, Kathy did something. Like I could just sense it. And so then I looked at my markers and I was like, what the? And I mean, oh my gosh, it was so many. It wasn't like my full collection of Copics, but it had to have been at least like 100. It was so many. Oh, good call. Cheryl says, whenever I have to adhere to glitter paper, I use that really sticky red tape, like a score tape or a red line tape. Yes. I should have done that. I wasn't even thinking. It seems to be holding now, like it's not pulling up. So I think we're okay. There might be a couple little spots where it's starting to, but I think we'll be okay. Let's see. Scrolling down. Oh, Carrie says, summary, you are a bad influence. The greetery. The word budget now has been classified as profanity within this group. We all need a crafty 12-step program. That's funny. That's hilarious. Yeah. The greetery. That was my downfall this year. I don't buy a ton of product out, because I've been doing my own line all year long. But when it comes to Christmas products, that is where I allow myself to just buy whatever I want, because I know I'm going to be doing the holiday card series. So when I saw like the Greetery's releases for October and November, I about died. And I bought almost everything in the October, just a couple of things I didn't. And then all of November. And I still want to be crafting with it. Like I'm itching to use it. I'm excited about it. So yeah. Oh, and you have to have your spine fused, Carrie. Oh, yikes. Is that happening over the holidays? Holiday break? My word. I do have an affiliate link for the Greetery. I contacted Betsy before that video went up last week. Gina, I told Christina that Kevin is my spirit animal and the pic of him with the cell phone and her caption was true. I don't know if you guys saw it, but like for real, that picture with Kevin, I have to show you. I'll show it to you. Okay. Kids these days already addicted to the cell phone. Seriously, whenever I'm holding him and then I put anything like near him, he puts his paws out and then he like holds it. So like, what has he done that to? Like like anything, like cell phones, if I'm holding like my water bottle, he hugs everything like a baby. He's so cute. So like when I was walking downstairs, I had my phone in my hand and then he was putting his paws out like he wanted to grab it. And I'm like, here, you can hold the phone. And then he just like hugged it. And my husband was right there. I'm like, get a picture. I'm like, this is too funny. Yeah. All right. Well, I will close it up for the night. Thanks so much for joining me. I don't have my fun holiday sweater on anymore. Just a nice striped shirt. But thanks so much for joining me for the holiday card series this year. Every Monday night for the lives. Those were super fun to do for you guys. I will be taking next Monday off for the holiday. So I will see you guys in 2026 live. But I mean, don't forget, we still have day 12 of the holiday card series on Wednesday. But that will be a pre-recorded, edited video. So you can just enjoy it whenever you'd like on Christmas Eve or after. You can just enjoy it whenever you'd like. And then I will see you live after the new year. I'm not sure what day it will be. Like the 5th or something, the 4th or 5th. I can't remember what it is. But I'll see you live in the new year. So I hope you guys have a fabulous holiday. And I will see you guys in 2026. Thanks for watching.